Hello, one and all, and welcome to another episode of MMA Vision Analysis. This one, I'm here to talk about Nate Diaz recently calling for a trilogy against none other than Conor McGregor over at UFC 300. But before getting started, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, click that notification to get all of this that is new from this channel, your channel, the one and only MMA Vision Analysis. Honestly speaking, the best thing to do for both of these fighters is to face each other if they were to step a foot again in the octagon. It doesn't make much sense for me for Conor McGregor to face a Michael Chandler or a Justin Gaethje or Charles Oliveira. In all honesty, I think all of those guys easily beat McGregor. No disrespect to McGregor. McGregor, personally speaking, is one of my favorite fighters of all time. I've said it before, his character, personality, everything that he brings to the octagon is absolutely on another level. I mean, he single-handedly took the UFC to the level that it is now. I think a lot of that has to be credited to Conor McGregor, but I don't think he does well against a Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje, all the top names in that crazy lightweight division. So a wise decision to make, both financially and, if he was to take his physical health into consideration, is a fight with Nate Diaz. And same for Nate Diaz. Fighting a Jorge Masvidal over in boxing, I don't think it's going to make much sense financially as much as a fight with Conor, a trilogy with Conor over at UFC 300 would make. So I think the best thing to do for these two guys is to face each other in a trilogy over at UFC 300, or even headline a card on their own. Perhaps at this point in their careers, it's better to fight in that UFC 300 card and not headline a card, for that fight on its own. So I think it's a smart idea for these two fighters to face each other over at UFC 300. In a trilogy. And how does a fight go between these two, a third fight go between these two, if it was to unfold? At this point in their careers, I think Conor McGregor would be the closer fighter to winning a fight between the two. How does it play out? It's very difficult to say because the two have been fairly inactive in recent times. Nate Diaz losing majority of his fight in the past year and a half, 2 years. Conor McGregor, obviously not in the best form himself. Last time he was in octagon against Dustin Poirier, where he snapped a shin. So there's a lot of questions about the form of these two guys. So headlining a UFC card on their own is just not, I don't think it's going to have the same hype as their previous fights had. But being a part of UFC 300 for these two guys would be an amazing idea. It just makes sense for these two to fight each other. This is all speculation at this time. I could be wrong. Conor McGregor could face a Chandler, UFC 300, and Jorge could go on to face Nate Diaz over in boxing. So only time will tell, but an idea of a trilogy between Conor and Nate is, I think, entertaining. And it's just a smart idea for both fighters, if they decide to go back to fighting, is to face each other. Money, financially, and, they're somewhat on the same level, and perhaps both are, let's say, on their way out of combat sports. I know people may disagree, especially when it comes to Conor. I believe Conor is still mid-30s. I mean, realistically speaking, if he was in form, he could go on for a couple more years. But I just don't see Conor really competing for anything major anymore. I could be wrong. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of combat sports in general, but especially Conor and Nate. Those two have to be two of my favorite fighters of all time. I know that's easily said, but genuinely speaking, Conor and Nate are perhaps two of my like top 5 fighters of all time. If you made it this far, I appreciate you for sticking around. Please let me know what you think in the comments and like, subscribe for more.